We are going to call the February 6th Clatsop County Fair Board work session to order. All members are present. Starting with the Fair Board roles.
Yeah. So, as you guys discussed, we talked about wanting to do some longer work sessions, and really a lot of the conversations we were having weren't really business items, and so we went to this longer work session. Tried to follow the county format a little bit more. This is kind of more what I envisioned it all along for a packet for you on each item. But the first, and I'll go over that a little bit more later, but the first one I wanted to throw in here was just to give some time for you all to kind of talk about your roles and the chair and the vice chair and the roles that you yourselves just on the board before you went into the vote on who the chair and vice chair is going to be this year. And I know when I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, what is expected of the chair and the vice chair? And it's not really well defined in your guys' bylaws. And so I snipped this out of that packet that the county shared with us. So this is just verbatim out of that committee handbook, and I figured that would be a good starting point. But then I also put some links. I didn't want to print it all up, but we would have made this packet way more bigger, but for some examples of maybe a path you could go in the future to update your bylaws and make it a little bit more.
I think you gave us a packet last year too, that had actually a breakdown of the chair, and the kind of, it probably wasn't for this exactly, but does that sound right? I swear you did.
I don't think so.
Really? Maybe it was for another board. I wasn't.
Yeah, that was my first night.
What? Remember, I swear.
But your bylaws, that I can pull up right here with you. It's just a one-page thing and it doesn't really cover much. It basically just says, the fair's this week, usually there's 5 of us. Where do I have that?
It's okay. It's okay. I just thought,
Oh, it's on the website.
it's on the website. That's what you said.
But if you look like at the county one's way overkill. I think there's a lot of good stuff on the county one that you can pare down a whole bunch of it because you don't have all of those responsibilities, but kind of the basic stuff. Or the planning commission one is also another one that shows pretty well. But it's right there. The whole website needs some serious love. So this is pretty simple. It just basically says ORS gives you authority, 5 members. Appointed by the county commission, 12 meetings. Attend the meetings once every 12 months. Annual convention. Spring convention. 6-day fair, which our fair is 5 days, right?
Yeah.
10 work session subcommittees, help out your fair board fundraisers, so. There definitely could be a lot more substance to these bylaws.
Spring thing for a Christmas gift
Yeah,
fundraiser.
Yeah.
I mean, since I've been,
same here.
Right, so it's not even really applicable, it's like. Planning. So I don't know if you guys want to have any discussion about, what you see your roles being, but,
I think,
just prepare yourself for, selecting your chair and vice chair later on.
I think even just this year with us doing the committee, I mean, we've already stepped up more of our roles than what we have in the past, because we haven't had this before. Having our committee meetings and like Matt and I are meeting with you twice a month, we're more involved that way than we ever have.
well, our meetings are more,
And they're more
In-depth
involved and
than
we have
we
more
ever-
information
yeah,
and stuff, so.
you're providing more information. I think there's more projects going on. Trying to get things
We're more involved.
streamlined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys, and you guys have been helping, but there's so many things that are going on, like. Between all of the events and all of that, it's getting more and more conversations with you guys about how you see everything happening. between the fair and all of these, with security and parking and marketing, there's still gonna be a lot of work to do with all of that, private sponsors. Actually do marketing piece and these other activities that we have in mind, like who's gonna bring in logging equipment, if we're gonna get logging equipment. So there's a ton of conversations that, between the two of us, and the office, we'll have time to do it without,
So we haven't had another meeting on the other one committee, and I don't know, I didn't know if that was, I thought it was, I was waiting for you.
So I sent you all like some notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some feedback, I just continue to work on, I need to organize some of the stuff I have in mind, but we could be any. Again,
Well, I'm ready.
one of the big ones, I think, is getting this committee, the volunteer, we've got probably 5 volunteers that have said that they'd like to participate also. So we can get some routine time set so that they can expect when the meetings are gonna be over the next 2 months.
Anything else on that?
So I guess what are we expecting the chair and vice chair to do, right? 'Cause I think that was kind of your original question, right?
Yeah,
Is so, we elect chair and vice chair, but what are there, aside from just being the person that goes through this, the
facilitator,
facilitator,
yeah.
right? So what are the roles expected to do?
Think
Aside
it
from
should
that.
be, helping build the agenda and talking about the type of stuff that you guys want to bring forward as a business. So you guys, the chair, is keeping in touch with each of you, and then the chair will work with me to, and then be like, this is where we want to go with the next meeting. What the agenda should look like. Preparing for the meeting.
An organizer.
Basically being that person that kind of keeps the rest of the board all up to date with all the stuff that's going between the meetings.
I like that.
What do you say?
Sets the tone.
Sets the tone. Does that answer your question, Matt?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I was looking for more of like, what do we want it to look like?
Yeah.
I know what this piece of paper says,
Yeah,
but, do we want to adopt these things, or?
I think we probably should look a little more into some other descriptions of roles. Before we adopt anything, but I
Well,
think.
no, I'm not saying we do it right now. Just-
No, I know.
I think it'd be a good idea to have a clear understanding of what the roles are. I don't think I think mostly since I've been here, it's just been whoever leads the meeting.
Yeah,
Like, we've never built the agenda.
right.
Honestly, I've never talked to another fair manager during the week either.
Right.
We only talked at the
Meetings.
Yeah, like I've talked to you more in the last year than I talked to everybody else that was here the whole time I've been on the board.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys taking the. And without that conversation, then I'm making a lot of assumptions. The mayor was making assumptions that he's doing what you all want to do. Yeah, correct. This is, you guys have the charge to do the facility and set the policy, so. It's all good until I'm not doing it for you to do, but I don't know about it until it's too late. Yeah.
I think now it's a little bit different with you though, because you're not our employee,
Yeah,
where before the fair manager was our employee. But I think that we've worked well together,
yeah.
even though there's that different distinction now.
This has been a year and a week or so that I've been here. And I feel like we've gotten a lot of work done. I feel like I wish I would have gotten some more done, just because I know I have big goals for things I'm gonna do, but I just keep looking forward for the next 2 years on how, all that stuff that we've sorted out in the last 12 months, I don't have to revisit again.
Yeah.
And so this next year I can chip away a couple more things and
Well, I think as things get untangled, it's just gonna, roll even better.
Yeah, you'll have an action item at the meeting to actually do the chair and vice chair.
Yeah.
people. I strongly suggest we look at, doing some real bylaws.
I think too, I think our chair needs to be our active communicator.
What do you mean by that?
Like an active communicator, like the person that speaks between us and other areas.
Like a liaison?
Yes, I like that word. It's a beautiful.
Like sets the tone and pace for the
Yes.
committee, or
For the.
represents a committee in the community. That's what I-
Yes, yes. I mean,
Like you want
we
them to
all
go to
do.
the other meetings?
Oh, I don't necessarily know if it's that as much as I think that we could spread that between all of us, right? The trying to go to other meetings and stuff. I think that's a lot, that would be a lot to put on one person.
Yeah.
Just a lot of times, we have to respond to certain items and I think somebody somebody that is calm and, can communicate. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Okay.
But did you just say that I'm not calm?
I was gonna say, what makes you a bit trouble?
Oh,
'Cause you're taking
Never
it
say
deep.
general,
no,
that's what-
believe me, I'm not afraid today.
Am I
No.
chaos?
I don't think, I think you do very well.
Depends on the day and you can be both at the same time.
It's true.
No, that's important. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the budget development.
Yeah, so this is, I put the blank, projection sheet in here because, it opened up on Friday. It really, I should have already had this packet done by the time that thing opened up. So I did give you all some handouts with some that I've started plugging in and we'll go through those. But just to start off with kind of where we're at, there's a budget calendar, so by the 16th, we have to do our projections that basically say how much of our. And then we use those numbers to determine what our beginning fund balance will be, and then. In the meantime, we can start chipping away at what our expenses and projections will be for next year.
Do we know what our loss is gonna be for the HPAC?
The HCP, not exactly. I mean, it still hasn't gone into effect. But they've already been managing the force as if it's going to come into effect. But I think even with that, they're not anticipating those hits to really start happening for another 2 years
Yeah,
or so.
that's it, like 2 to 3 years.
Those are some of the conversations Monica was out today. Today was really the first time that I had to sit down and start chipping through this. I was gone all day yesterday and then today was crazy, still getting ready for this. And then I had probably 2 hours that I spent in tops with this, and Monica's out today. So I had some questions for her myself and what that, like, what should we be making as an assumption for that? And there was a couple other this current year, timber sales and property taxes and stuff like, is this it, or are we getting any more distribution that we need to be planning on for the rest of the year? So there's a lot of questions to have, but we can sort through them, one by one. And then just kind of get you up to speed with where we're at. We'll all be kind of digesting it here at the same time. But it is due, the full budget is due by March 1st. And so I think we should just probably come up with a time or a date that you guys would be able to meet at the end of the month to go over what the actual budget request will be. But the projections are what they are.
Yeah.
We'll do a reasonable job of figuring out some of what all of our costs will be by the end of the year, but we'll want to sit down and go over what the final will be the next meeting. I can pull up the calendar and we can look at that. Yeah, so what I have here is 2 separate paperclip packets. One of them is the revenue and one of them is the projections. And so there's 2 sheets, 2 packets in each. One is the sheet to do the projections for the rest of this year, and the other one is the sheet that we actually use to submit the budget for next year. And I did go through and start plugging in some numbers on the projection one, but it's not by any means perfect yet. It's just kind of was plugged in. The revenue one, I just left it blank and I thought if we wanted to go through there and earmark anything specifically, I could write that down now. And then as I start putting together the budget.
Does our bond expire this year?
What's that?
Does our bond expire this year?
It goes through,
25.
25, 26. And so what's not clear to me is that the end of 25 or July of 26, but it appears that the election has been. There was an election in 14 and then there was in 20. So I don't know if that means we need to do it in 25 or in 26. So I need to talk with the tax department and just kind of get some clarity, say, this is what I think this says.
Yeah.
Can you confirm for sure when this money runs out? If it's 25, I mean, that's next year, we gotta do the tax measure, but I did find the language from it last time when it went through. So I have it, I just need to say, confirm with her the date. So if we wanna go through revenue projections, beginning balance. All of that, we can just basically ignore at this point, but you can see there is a difference. So we assumed the last year when we were budgeting that our beginning balance was gonna be 725. After the budget was audited, we ended up actually with 894. So we didn't spend as much as we said we were gonna spend, or we brought in more money than we thought we were gonna bring in. I'm sure a big chunk of that was probably staffing because, vacancies, it's so many vacancies for that fiscal year. Property tax, we've received, so. If you look at the right three columns. The very far right column is the one where I've already started plugging stuff in. The one as of 2/3/2024, that was a number that was uploaded into this document on Friday. And then the 23/24 is what we budgeted for the fiscal year. And then going back, those are actuals from those years before. But the 23/24 is, those are budgeted numbers, so they're on actuals. Property taxes, that appears that that's gonna be it, because it's so close to what we budgeted for. I'm not sure what property tax prior year means, so that's a question I have, but since it's prior year, I'm assuming that's it, and that's all it's gonna be, because we're so far into it. Don't know what GP reserve or land sales will be, but hurt tax, there's a tax that gets charged on anybody that has heavy equipment, and those dollars get divided up between county governments. So we receive that revenue based off of the tax charged on equipment rental. And then I don't know what revenue sharing would be, so. It looks like we're right in there. Our property tax might be a little bit down on what we thought, so within $5,000, 7 grand. Interest on investments, I thought this was very interesting. We budgeted for 16,000, but we actually received $25,000 in interest on our. In the banks, so I think that's probably mostly based off of high interest rates are. And I do not know how the county manages all of their.
Well, if you look at investment funds, we probably projected low because everything was on a downward trend. And then about 3/4 of the way through the year last year, everything went back up,
Yeah.
which is great for everybody's 401ks. Because
People buying houses and cars.
it is terrible for people buying houses and cars.
You see 21-22, it was only $4,000. Then 23-23 was pretty good, about 25 grand, but we wouldn't have known that until after the budget was done.
Yeah.
Okay, timber sales, budgeted 75, so far we're at 60, so this is where I do not know if we're going to get another distribution or not in this current year. But we had 117 and 88, so I'm assuming we're gonna at least get one more infusion into that line, so I wouldn't even know where to guess on what that would be at that point. That's one of the questions that I'll have to answer.
Can you look and see how many distributions we usually get? I mean, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
right now. And then
I saw that we've had 2 in this current year, but I hadn't gone back into prior years. to
Prior
see if we had. The Business Oregon, that 5555 is the first distribution they gave us on the grant that we're gonna use for this group project. We haven't done any more work on the project, so we haven't asked for any of those dollars. I do need to get that. But they basically said, contracts executed is the first payment. So that's why we already have that. This revenue number is really offset by an expense number further in the budget.
I have a question. Do they, in the grant, when they gave the first distribution, do we have a deadline?
The deadline, I believe is 2025, but it may be it's or, yeah, June 30. Yeah, I do need to see the deadline. I need to get the ball. Be more than anything, it's if we have a big project, we've got events that are happening all the time. That we're gonna need to-
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure the money will go fast. Once we get. the
Yeah, I knew
project
you were
underway. The fair distribution, that's our percentage. Once we get to the sheet, that shows the Oregon Fair's one-liner. When they talk about, eliminate the cap on the 1% of lottery funds. So this is that money that we get from the lottery dollars. So we're supposed to be getting 1% of the lottery dollars from the state, but they capped it at. Said 1%, but no more than 1 million. It's been prorated up for inflation. So that's our portion of that 1.1%.
Yeah.
It should be like $20 million that gets divided between all the fairs, which would be like 360 something K. Yeah, so. That's one of those ones where we can support the Fairs Association pushing that. That fair big impact. Yeah. That number would go from 55.
Their percentage went up to vendors, lottery vendors this year too. Takes a lot. So they're making more money, but we've seen it.
A lot of it goes to education, and that's why
Right.
we did it. It's because Fairgrounds provided game. The bill, that's how it's worded out. I was trying to understand it. It's trying to speak clearly about that issue. And I don't understand. Let me look at it. But that's it. We won't get any more than that. That one's locked in. So that 277, if we don't get it this year, we'll get it this year. Whatever the balance is, the budget for that revenue line item for next year. CARES Act, that's over. Through all the projections. Revenue from reimbursement, that was a payment we made to somebody that paid us back. ATM revenue, that's our. Interest to make off of the ATM, so we still have scan aid test, during craft test, they block our, but during scan test, pretty good on that. 4-H revenue, there's been a line in there, I think that in the past that the camping dollars might have gone into there as 4-H revenue, but it should really just be going as camping revenue, that's all it is.
Yeah.
We'll drill into that a little bit more to see, I don't know if 4-H has paid for anything in a long time. But in the past, I'm sure they did big things. I don't know what that donation was, but it's pretty minor. It's. No, we received a couple of commissions, so I have to look and see where those are being voted. Vending machine tickets and gate fees, so that 400,000 is what we brought at the gates at the fair.
Only fair.
Now, if we host these events, that I think those would go in there, if we
Yeah, like
host a
sponsor trucks.
sponsor. Or tracks or whatever ourselves, we would go in there, so our entertainment expense would be offset by. The additional revenue we would get in there. One thing that is a little misleading about this number is once the fair started, all of the booster dollars ended up just going in with the patients. So we'll work on doing a better job of that next year, trying to track how much of that was season passes versus day passes. Because there is a separate line. I don't know how important it is that you have a separate line for booster, but it's really all.
It's fair revenue.
Yeah.
But that number was at 4,870. Double check that. Fair booth rentals, 5,900. Good, but we won't be getting any more of that till the fair next year. This is probably the biggest gut punch on the budget, the concert ticket revenue. We've seen, we were down 60 grand. We expected revenue to go down. So,
That doesn't include sponsorships.
no, sponsorships is lower. We did good on sponsorships.
Oh, I see.
Parking fees, I think that's mostly Scandinavian Festival. They're really the only event that I think that had paid parking last year.
Fair.
The fair. Oh, the extra vehicles? Yes, it does not. Camping fees, 18,000. That's up pretty good. I think a chunk of that is the soccer
Yeah.
group. Like, it came in as camping instead of as an event. But the thing about camping fees is we have to pay Takalaki tax on all of those
Yeah.
camping fees. And you'll see, we did, then when we get to the expenses that we did have, quite a bit more. I think we were more honest about the camping that we had here. You know, that will stabilize here as the years go on. It makes more sense. Fair sponsors was TLC, that was really the only, well, TLC, and then we did receive a $200 check from Umpqua. They said they were gonna sponsor the big roast, thank you. They said they were gonna do 500, but we ended up getting a $200 check. So TLC was good. I think as we look at our sponsorship packages for this next year, I don't even know what we would want to assume for revenue on that. It's something we'll talk about when we get to that page.
Well, we're doing different this year, so,
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
different to where it's not just concert sponsorships.
yeah.
Concert sponsorships did really well. It's a little misleading because this extra 6,000 was actually payment from Toyota from the year before. But we did do 60,000 in concert sponsorship. That's pretty significant. It saved our butt.
Yeah.
Food vendor commissions budgeted 20, we got 25, 15% their sales. Facility rentals, budgeted 60, it's at 29. I just plugged in 60 because I was trying to make the bottom number kind of see the biggest impact it had. But we're gonna be getting around 6 or so grand from Scandinavian Fest, and then it's only something grand we get from the Crack Fest, plus a couple of other, quite a few other events between now and then. So that number will likely be over 60. See, back in 21, 23, or 22, 23, it was 93 grand, so. When it's all said and done, we might be closer to that number. We can look at our spreadsheet. But, because all that stuff's pretty much booked. Yeah. It might be closer to that. Green to signs, we just sent those out and they're starting to roll in. I think there's been more that we've gotten since even this 1250 has been put in. So doing the 20% increase we did, we can assume that we're gonna get the 700. That number might even be higher if we do a campaign and ask for even more sponsorships. There's a lot more wall space out there.
Yeah.
Campaign, transit room tax, that's. So what we're doing now, instead of just putting all of the dollars when we receive revenue from camping into one line that says camping, we're taking the portion that's for camping and putting in a camping line, and we're putting the portion that's for the tax into this line. So when we go to do our reports every quarter, it makes more sense, like, why are you paying? It's
Yeah.
coming out of that amount. Some of the stuff that was done, like, booked in the prior year might not be in there, it might still be sorted in, but we're on a clean slate now, everything new will get sorted out, so it'll make more sense. This merchandise, $200, I need to look into that. I thought we had more than $200 in merchandise at the fair. And so we may have coded something, I can dig that up. That. Donations, I do not know what that is.
I'm gonna guess that's for the stall fronts.
Yeah.
That was into the fair.
For a specific purpose.
Yeah, I think
It
it's
is
Friends of the Fair.
Check.
So they don't.
If
4,000.
it's paying for camping and we didn't have the set up yet, it
Yeah.
was put into as a donation for the change. So
This
it's
is,
disclosed to them.
this is $2,500.
There's not all that.
Yeah, where are we at here? Almost to the end. Yeah, it says free class donation for horse barn stalls, so it was for horse stalls. Auction sales rental, I have no clue. I'll have to look into that one too. Oh, we rented the bleachers out. That's what that is.
Cool.
That's a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our projection. Yeah, we can go through these lines and if you all have anything specific you wanna. And for anticipated revenue, um,
I personally think you're on the right track, kind of plugging what we're doing this last year, other than the few items that you mentioned
Yeah.
that you need to look into. I think it looks pretty good.
you know, if we're going to host several events, like if we wanna do a bull riding and a mud drag and we do it ourselves instead of just renting the facility to people, we'll have to figure out where that's gonna come in as revenue. As long as we're allocating money towards it for an expense.
Yep.
But maybe we just do those even. So we're gonna assume we're gonna break even and hopefully make more revenue.
That'd be great.
That's the revenue one. Expenditures. The whole top part is just, staff. These numbers are basically they're given from the county, is what it is.
Yeah.
You can see back in 22, 23, we're definitely understaffed for a while. But prior to that, we were at 325, so your payrolls increased about 50K in 3 years. These, as I was going through these, as I was plugging stuff in, this one's gonna take me some more time to think about, because there's little things that we have to think about what we can get done between the end of the year. Clothing and uniform, I think it'd be great to get some fair shirts.
Yeah.
For the seasonals and the staff during the fair, I mean, you all to have it's,
We have some.
so we look.
They're
we look
bright.
Like a team.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you guys not getting an escalation in wage at all this year?
I think it's 4.5%. So these are just the projections, the next sheet has the actual.
With the
line
escalation.
details, and they've
Cool.
already got all that plugged in, that's the first thing that they send out, that's the cost sheet. The only thing that changed on the cost sheet was I increased the temporary by 5K, said.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
good
we're
idea.
paying- Assuming we're paying them $15 an hour, even if we have the same amount, you can't hire people for $15 an hour for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you get lucky, kid out of high school or on summer break or something like that, but.
Yeah, but for crying out loud, those guys, they go down to Panda Express and start at 20.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
McDonald's 20 with benefits,
And you-
like how?
Yeah,
But
come
yes.
out here and do week hard labor for the summer for
I'd rather
15, it's pretty tough.
It's very short term.
Yeah,
One thing that I noticed I left some money on the table with our temporary, I thought I had used every penny of this, but. What I didn't account for was any of the overtime that they had, they actually billed it to the overtime line and oops, but we're still good on that. I made some assumptions for another 1,000 in overtime, even though I didn't really expect us to have much overtime, but any comp time that Kristen and Kelly have. June 30th will be paid out.
It's
So
better to over budget than under budget on expenses.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that I would like to figure out is, I'm not suggesting changing Kelly's schedule around, I know he's a long-term county employee.
Yeah,
But it would be really cool if we could get somebody that could be here on the weekend
yeah,
when we need them, that's not getting paid overtime,
right, yeah.
I don't know what that looks like, I don't even know if there's some way we could hire like a limited part-time employee,
Yeah,
that would be willing, some retired guy that wants to come out here and drag the horse arena or something like that, just to eliminate that overtime, because that overtime is what, it just really eats up your budget big time.
we have. Contractual services can help. that we could eventually like to do some of that, just have a contract with the, this kind of thing, or an event. For the most part, Kelly will change his schedule if it's but if it's short notice, that's the issue.
Yeah.
It's a notice.
Okay.
Already doing it.
Yeah.
But that would be something to consider, maybe, but retire someday and say, hey, your schedule's gonna be.
Yeah, your schedule's you're gonna have Tuesday, Wednesdays off or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, like I said, I'm not suggesting changing his schedule, but, you know, I respect him a lot, and as a long-term county employee, you know, we need to take care of them. Major, he especially is a major asset. But, like you just said, when he goes away and we bring on somebody else, we need to really establish that. You've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and you're gonna be here for the weekend, because that's when all our rents are.
Yeah. What,
And, you know, if these events that need our services, like, you should have a fee for that.
Yeah.
It says, you're gonna pay this, okay, so if that can offset that line item that says temporary.
I think that's a good idea, but I agree with Matt, I think we should have somebody here on the weekends. But like he said, charging an extra for that, even if we do temp services, that's okay too,
It's just a passive.
it's just a pass.
I don't had a word conversation with some of the other players on how they do that, and really, they say. Staff time's not included in rental, but, but they collect a much larger deposit. So if there's a situation where somebody has to go there, then they take that out of the deposit.
But that's like at YC when we asked for them to come drag the arena twice during a Saturday, Sunday, we get charged for that. It's not.
Yeah.
It's automatic. I mean, we get charged, and if we want more than that, it's an additional $50 on top of what we're getting in charged. I mean, it's a fee.
The other one that they said they did, they make sure that everything's fully stocked. There's cleaning supplies available, there's backup supplies available. If it's a multi-day event, they'll usually get somebody to make sure that all those supplies are still
Yeah,
stocked up,
next,
but they're not giving responsible stuff.
So I just wanna mention, I was at an event here a couple weekends ago, and a little kid behind me started vomiting everywhere. Yeah, pretty much didn't leave the house for a week after that, It scared me. And during the cleanup process, there was no sanitizer, nothing, they just were wiping up with, and that's where I was like, oh, what, you know, but I didn't, everybody else may have been there, but they were there on a personal level, so I didn't, I just left. Cause I don't do.
It's one of the tricky things, and, you know, we've got them the supplies, but that's something we can do a better job of coaching event. People that are putting on events that they don't necessarily do events all the time.
Put a big black.
Okay, let's keep going, so we don't get behind schedule.
Custodial supplies, so that number we've used very little, but at the end of the fiscal year, Kelly stocked up quite a bit, so we're working on this. Inventory inside of place, so we'll spend some of that again. Transient room tax, so that's. What we're bringing in and we're paying out. Yeah, that's our expense, so that's what we paid on gas. Insurance is a plug number, plan finance, license permits and fees. Or I'm sure it's for septic system, that's probably a big part of it. Be great to have that now. What are our licenses? Simple that. It's equipment, we got 20K budgeted. That lot. It's one of the blessings of having Kelly. Spend a lot, he doesn't have to pay anybody to do anything, he can do it, so. By the way, software maintenance, that was the software. Put in that, I put best. General equipment, 35, expense. This is. Fine stuff, so I have this later on, we talk about the stage, that was potentially what I covered. And if there's some other things, parts for the mowers and whatnot. Maintenance SIG, they call that structures, what that stands for in grounds, but that's basically our maintenance fund for the batteries and filter and all that stuff. We'll have to sort through this a little because that 50K is making some assumptions for like the garage door guy and the fire extinguisher service guy. The county is asking that we change that and start putting those things under contractual services. So I kind of have to look at that, and those numbers will look funky on this budget. They won't look like they did before, but it'll look more standard before. Membership dues and fees, these are for the chamber and OFA, WFA, all that. What I think you found is we're not members of the Canyon State Chamber.
From members of
We are members of the not decided, so, I mean, they do have their own convention center, but, you know, those businesses are part of our economic footprint as well. It's something to consider is joining theirs, but their chamber is quite a bit more expensive to join as well. Other one is the International Association of Fairs. They have probably more resources that we could use than all of these other associations
Yeah.
combined. Optical postage printing, all these are pretty, just incidental lines. PC equipment, we added an extra computer. Apparently they only charge us 1,500 so far, so I don't know if they're gonna bill us that other part. This contractual services, that 90 grand is part of the dollars we set aside to have somebody help us with our strategic plan, and we just haven't got that kicked off. I am optimistic that we can at least get something going and get somebody under contract before the end of the year, but if not, it'll roll into the next budget, just down the road. Fair judges. Contractual services temps, so that was the bathroom cleaner gal and the others that came and helped us do stagehand work, which I thought, even with them, when I was tracking their hours, that it was way higher than this, and then they sent me the bill. So I'm apparently looking at something wrong with these seasonal people, but that's not bad for what we got for them, just the
Yeah.
two people to be here all 5 days and work 12 hours a day for 6 grand. It's a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
And then the other couple days during the concert, we had 6 people here all day. So. That's good. Advertising, we spent 13 grand. We wanted to leave a little meat on that bone to advertise for this next one before the end of this fiscal year, so we will use the rest of that 15. This other advertising be for non-fair, so. If we do these mud drags, we do this concert, do some wedding or out of town advertising, stuff and go there.
Can I say something really quick about the advertising for fair? So we've at 13,000 of the 15,000.
Yeah,
And so that means we only have $2,000 left to advertise and market before fair.
yeah. But that being said, like, we've got July, like a lot of those, radio campaigns will come in July. Like, we spent all of this money in July, but we were working on this stuff in way before that, but we didn't end up paying them until after their runs were done, so closer to the one. They were providing us the services before that.
Can we think about maybe talking, because like you're getting prices on the street signs that we were talking about putting up this
Yeah.
week, because those would probably be ordered before July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I just don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want us to under budget for it.
And we've got a different line for printing and reproduction. I think if we're getting signs printed, they were from there, but then this advertising is like in the newspaper, on the radio station.
I have a weird feeling that we're gonna go over.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure we are. I think some of the stuff that we were getting charged by some of these advertisers, it wasn't very reasonable. I think they're like, this is what you did before, this is what you did before, but that it's changed a lot. The radio has changed, and the newspaper, like, we paid the historian, I think, $4 grand.
An insane amount, yeah.
They were offering some in-kind services, but we kind of put our foot down and said we weren't gonna do in-kind. I think that's something that as we're going through this, that we evaluate, and I think we can do it as long as we have a clear policy. And so it's not like we're making deals, we have a policy and we'll follow the policy. And those in-kind services should be 2 to 1 or 1 to 1 or something. You know? We're getting more value out of it, but like the Astorian, like we're paying them for that, and then we're giving them all of that content for them to put out that advertising guide, which I'm sure they made pretty good money in that guide that they put out for the fair. I was just looking at the number of advertisements they have in it. Like, how much are each of these per, like? That adds up pretty quick, and then they wanna charge us for more advertising for the fair.
Okay, let's keep going, because we still have 3 agenda
And we only
items
have,
in 10 minutes.
Let's see if there's anything here that's jumping out. The fuel, spent $2 grand in fuel, the ones really, it's like diesel and the others. Gas, but they gave us some code in Public Works, it's all, I need to sort it out, it's been an issue with our fuel cards since the day I started. Education, training, travel, so we'll wanna look at that in our budget for next year, if you all are going to go to the conference. And we'll wanna jack that up quite a bit to cover for how many of you are gonna actually go to it. It's more than just going to take the day trips if we're going to Redmond for the weekend. So utilities, we're pretty much right on track with that 70K. Fair ribbons, we spent that 4K, Katrina's asked if we could bump that up. I'll go over that in my manager's update. We spent 189 on fair entertainment. And then we spent 61 on fair expenses. I think we should probably make a separate line that is specific to the concert. Cause it's kind of confusing right here between what's a fair expense, what's fair entertainment, what's the concert.
Yeah,
Structure, still that 30K for the tent. I mean, I don't feel like we're in a spot where we're ready to make a decision on where that should go. The 300K for the roof, and this year is equipment, that was the skid steer and a roller that was. Skid steer's working out really well though. Okay, but. You guys can let me know a date for you, if you wanna do Tuesday, or do you?
Tuesday, I think for me personally, Tuesdays are gonna be the easiest.
It is for me too.
It's gonna be the most consistent anyway.
So the 4th Tuesday of the month, I have a board meeting with the sewer district. But I think I can consult them on this meeting. They're the ones that need to meet. I'm just a guy there that tells them everything that's going on. Okay,
So we're gonna do the 27th.
that would give me the most time possible to put it together.
February
Is she
27th.
sneezing or something? Or she yelling at a dog?
For Owen.
Hold on.
Is that her dog or something?
No, son, he's not in the truck anymore, I think.
We better go. That's-
Yeah.
that's important. See if I can pull them up on the cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Well, did he go over here because they're right?
Oh, he's right there.
Oh, wait, wait, your phone's hollering for you. Oh, wait, come in here.
Come here.
Ooh.
You supposed to stay in the car? Yeah, maybe hustle.
Don't trip on the wires.
Are we supposed to have a meeting pause or?
Yeah.
Or not?
I can, I'll build the budget to the best that I can and then, I'll,
I think you're on track, so sure.
I think.
You
you're-
like you-
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Definitely like what Sarah said though about advertisement. And then what you said about training and education, those we need to look at, and then obviously what Katrina said. And then kind of doing the concert and entertainment, separating all out, so,
Once we get that ending fund, beginning fund balance too,
yeah.
we have a pretty healthy reserve right now.
I think that
we
would,
have to think like we're still. That's something. Okay. So the equipment we wanna buy. Yeah.
so I think we up some of those, but yeah, no, it looks good. So we have 8 minutes.
There's still a couple more, yeah.
So exhibitor camping,
Yeah. These are rules. One of the big thing that we highlighted on was trying to make it clear to them that the deadline is the deadline. If you can't, you have to be
Yeah.
in on Monday to fill out a camping. Data.
Yeah.
Do not have. The fees and the taxes, so making it clear that there is a tax, we have to pay tax on that. Exhibitors only, if we want to continue that same policy where it's only like we did last year, where it's like exhibitors and they have to have a wristband to get in there.
I
Guests,
I would like people to be able to go like have dinner. Or, you know, there's a lot of clubs that feed their whole club. And they need to be able to go, they're already up here, but they need to be able to go down. I don't think we need a wristband security guy at the top. Kids are used to going up and down, which has never been in trouble. Cause they've already paid to get in.
and I don't think it was for the kid, it was trying to keep the rowdy people out.
that is the problem. Well, the concert is one thing, but really the problem down there is the visiting adults that are down there hanging out, just drinking, and they're the ones that they're the problem. You know, so,
Shove it.
Do we have that gate? You need to have someone obviously at that gate.
yeah, and then having somebody stationed at that gate that we're paying for is.
The driving.
The
Yeah,
drive-in
the drive-in
gate,
gate,
yes.
yeah, that's gonna be huge. And then just making sure that nobody's camping down there that's not involved in
yeah.
the fair exhibits.
So I think what we did definitely helped. It would be really hard to manage though.
Yeah,
Like, there's you very easily circumvent. I guess. Or
yeah, yeah,
get in there. Yeah, keep jumping that way. It was tough, but there was a lot of people that were not campers that wanted to go in there and they wanted to guess. First, they get in there. And
Yeah.
people come up to us and ask us for a wristband, or they were coming in asking to have guess their camping reservation.
and you guys don't have time to deal with that week.
And there's not.
Yeah. So that's something that, if that's how you guys really want to go, then keep it in there, but if not, we can remove the whole bracelets and just make sure that campers, that people aren't driving in there. that-
Yeah, that has to stay the way it is. Nobody gets to enter that gate unless they have a camping pass.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go through the rest of it, but this is kind of our opportunity to talk about this, but make few changes and I'll bring it to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The other one that keeps coming up is the side by sides.
No,
So,
And this is why. We had someone we made an exception for a few years ago, and when the sun goes down, they came into a hot rod.
Yeah.
And they were racing it around and driving it, and then there was like 10 kids hanging off of it, and
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
somebody's gonna get hurt, and we've already been told that we're on a thin line of getting to have camping down there.
yeah,
Because the sheriff was not impressed a couple years ago. So I think we have to keep,
it's yeah,
the guidelines need to be clear.
Yeah.
last year, so, you know, we said no, but then we had the OSU one down in there. Parking it at night.
I
So
think
that-
I think it
That's the
needs to be
thing is-
parked up here though.
Yeah,
It
we
wasn't
can't make
OSU.
exceptions.
No, it wasn't OSU, it was a 4-H
Association.
It's fine. She has it up here, it doesn't need to go down.
Yeah.
I think it needs to, they can have it, but it needs to stay up here at night. It cannot go back down. Yeah, is that?
Is it okay if I ask Lori a question?
Yeah.
All of the awards, they're kept up here, right? In the,
In the club- she has it in the clubhouse.
so I don't understand why she would need to,
I didn't know it came down there. I saw it now. Just-
Yeah, so
Yeah.
really, they could just be transferred from there in the morning to over here and.
And she kept our office all day, like she
Yeah.
would run on there for the show. And that was fun, but I never saw it in campground, 'cause I was in my own little pod, I didn't.
Yeah.
Went down there every night. I think
It did.
It did. And that's also what started people saying, well, she can bring it down, why can't we, and yada, yada.
So let's just keep that as not.
So I think if there is something to go back and forth down in the background, get in touch with
That's a great idea.
they can sit about park it in the shop.
Yep, that's okay, perfect.
Yeah, well, everything else I think is the pretty standard stuff.
Did, Matt, did you feel okay about being the camp host?
Yeah.
That worked
Yeah.
out okay?
But great. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing it.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, auction time input.
Yeah, so Sandra sent that letter. They're asking for input by this Friday. As far as, they're really just talking about option, but it does kind of lead into a bigger conversation on coordination with the option committee. And how do we know what's happening and all of that? So that's some discussion for you all to give some direction on what you would like to see as far as a letter or any other.
I think it's important because this affects our schedule, right? If we schedule anything throughout the day for that day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we just need to we just need to all be on the same board, same common ground. Yes.
So can I say something here, since I've been on the auction committee for many years and then got off?
Yep.
Because I went back to the minutes, so the auction was always at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
A long time ago,
I remember.
and then it got done at 10 or 11, everybody's like, so. I was on it when they decided to move it up, right, to 4 o'clock. Or we said 3, and we sent out invites to everybody on the auction that came to buy. And we had half of them said yes, half of them said no, they wanted to keep it at 6, some of them said okay, some didn't care. So we decided to do 4 o'clock. We did 4 o'clock to kind of appease people, and everybody seemed to like that, that was okay.
Yeah.
And then a few years ago, because I went back and looked in the minutes, we moved it up to 2 because the fair board wanted to have a activity afterwards. And that's why it was moved to 2 o'clock, but it really crimped our schedule, we had to drop a lot of stuff. And it makes like Master Showman's 8 o'clock in the morning, who comes to Master Showman at 8 o'clock in the morning? I mean, you guys do, but nobody doesn't know, because they're used to it later.
Okay,
No, yeah,
just wanna also add-
Until 10, so.
Yeah,
I also want to add, the reason that we agreed to move it to 2 was we were told that Matt wouldn't come at night. That's why we added
Oh, yeah.
something. That's why we added something after the auction. It was after the time was changed.
yeah.
We didn't plan something and say you have to change the auction time. The auction time was changed and then we added something.
Yeah.
Were you here?
Yes, and that Matt would not come
And
anywhere
then
at
we were
night.
told Matt's meats
Mhm.
wouldn't load animals
Mhm.
in the dark or at nighttime.
Yeah, and I think at 4,
That was
it's
added
not
first.
dark by the time the auction gets done, that he would still be loading during the daylight.
So I don't know if Matt's still saying he won't load at night. There's no,
It's the auction committee president who says, I think, so that's, but nobody wants to bother Matt and make him mad and quit.
okay, well, he's coming to our house on Monday.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was gonna go ask him, and then he decided not to with your Cammy, so maybe you can feel him out. I mean, I'll let you.
So what are
I
they
think to be
proposing
clear
to
that
do
This
here?
is 4-H leaders that have been not pressuring, but asking Sandra about the time.
I think
This
that what
is
if we
an
try
extra-
to change it to?
To like, maybe a little bit later, so they can add some stuff back in, and the awards. is
And some
really-
breathing room. Last year was
The
stressful.
awards are like cramped, I have it outside.
I do get it, but a lot of those people probably have not been a bidder that stays to do cleanup until the very end of the auction to make sure these kids get.
So I guess we're getting a little off track though,
Oh, yeah.
because we aren't concerned with the 4-H side,
No.
right? So what's our
Communication.
Yeah, so communication.
Yeah.
Because the fairgrounds, like, we aren't involved in the 4-H stuff.
Yeah.
That's totally separate from our interests. So as far as the fair board, like, why would we want it to be later? or why would we want it to change at all?
Yeah.
Well, I think it comes down to the
The load
four
up.
H and the FFA kids.
Yeah,
And what works best for them not feeling frantic. Because last year, the kids weren't at their pens when the auction started because they were still, we went right from awards, right into the auction. So there was complaints that there wasn't kids at their. So I think our job is to support the kids that we're putting the fair on for. So if the kids,
Maybe write a
I
letter.
don't want
as
to
a-
say the wrong thing.
Write a letter as an individual, not as a board, if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, I think it's important to listen to the four H and FFA families. And that our job is to support that as an entity that's putting on a portion of the fair. So if that means that it's at 4, because that's what's better for the kids, and Matt is willing to come, you know, in the evening,
yeah,
I think that if there was better open communication, I think that we would realize that we are actually all on the same team and we want the best thing for the kids.
yeah.
That this isn't about our own ego. But I don't know how to, I don't know how to say that. I know you're shocked.
Well, I just thought it was weird that people were coming through the barns and all the animals were leaving, and I'm like, leaving, I'm like, I just,
Well, and like, it just turned
Uncomfortable.
into a ghost town.
yeah,
Like, everyone was gone and there was,
It's 6:03.
yeah, and I just didn't care for that. That was.
okay,
I
so,
think so, it was at 1 last year, right?
No, 2, it's been at 2,
Two
last couple of
right.
years.
I will also say as a buyer, coming for Jeremy to leave work on, because he works on Saturdays and he still has cows to feed and then to be here at 2:00, he was like, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
So he and his mom went over the list and then,
But see, I feel like it's different for us as buyers. We have to stay to the end of it to get all the cleanup pigs, and that's hard. And also, with the later it is, the more people go and drink,
yeah,
and then they bail. And then there's these kids at the very end of the auction. I mean, I thank goodness for Wilco and Tractor Supply to sit there and bid us up, so these kids are actually getting good prices, you know?
Yeah.
So there's always two sides of it.
I just think whatever it is, it needs to be with the kids in mind also. Anyways, we're getting.
Little things going as well that, you know, so. that we can-
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
so
the
we need to
biggest
know.
part for as a
A
board.
second concert, like, how are we gonna deal with the logistics of that? And we gotta have some communication meeting to work that out,
And it's that time.
right?
Yeah.
If we have a crowd of 1,000, 2,000 people up there, how are we gonna get stock trailers through there?
Well, you
Yeah.
can't have a stock trailer going in with squealing pigs with a concert going on, because you're
Yeah.
gonna have some people that's gonna really upset. Some,
Oh, yeah.
it's not gonna matter, but some it's gonna really upset and it's not gonna be good. Well, it makes me sad, but I also know what the process is where some don't have never,
Yeah.
someone that has never heard that for the first time, it's not gonna go very well if they're at a concert.
And there's a lot of people that don't believe in it too.
Yes, so
What if we adjusted and did a concert on Thursday? And then on Saturday, we did a demolition derby so that people are over on the other side.
Yeah.
so
Okay,
it's something to look at. Let's,
Okay.
yeah, we gotta move.
Can we bring that back to, oh, we don't have time.
No, we can keep it here. I mean, we can put it public hearing with.
Oh, no, I meant like on another work.
They're having an auction committee meeting sometime after the big weigh-in, so I don't know when it will be. So that's why they want these letters in. If you have it, then by the end of it. And send it to Cassie. Send it to
so does
Cassie.
everybody want to write a collective letter or do you want to write your own letter?
Well, I think that, if we all send an email to that fella right there, and then he can just kind of put it all together, send it into him.
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm good
Okay.
with that. I don't even know if I need to, I just think that we'll just do whatever we need to do, right?
Okay,
Okay, this logo, the Lower Columbia Radio Control Society uses the field down there. This form is all we have for an agreement with them. But it doesn't really go into anything as far as like even the legal stuff, like insurance and stuff like that's not here. It basically just says they get to use it. They pay us $500 to maintain the gravel road. and that they'll no longer do county third party. And so, first off, I'm not authorized to sign this, and so it needs to be like a standard county service contract. But the piece that I was curious about input from you all is, so this $500 for maintenance, so they're not even really paying us to use the property, they're paying us to maintain the road.
You can't even $500.
Right, you can't even get a load of gravel.
At 12 tons of rock without the delivery.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I said, and then mowing and,
Yeah.
the other one is like if they're trying to do stuff down there, like, this doesn't talk about any of that, so. I wanted some input from you. It does say it here, it can be canceled or renegotiated within 30 days notice. And I initially talked to county council about this, said, well, they have a claim that they believe they have a valid agreement because the representative of the fairgrounds signed it. But what we could say, even though it doesn't follow our policies and anything, and it's not even really an agreement. But since it says, can be canceled at any time for 30 day notice, we just give them a notice, like 30-day notice, we intend to renegotiate by this.
Yeah.
date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And maybe I'll bring it back next month, and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
One thing I want to ask about this is that when Tammy and Daniel were discussing like the mowing and the caretaking of the field, the area that they use is an odd shape.
Yeah.
So they had asked if we could make it a rectangle rather than the weird shape that it is. Can that also please be part of the discussion, so it's easier for Tammy and Daniel to manage after?
Yeah. Is that the last thing?
Anything else on that? Okay, we're calling the work session adjourned. And we are running behind schedule 11 minutes, 9 minutes. So we are going to call the regular meeting of the Clatsop County Fair Board to order. All members are present. Designation of chair and vice chair.
I would like to,
Are we rolling out? Do you have anything to say before we?
All I really have to say, what's in the memo, in the ORS, it says you'll designate a chair and vice chair. I don't think it necessarily said. The MOU with the county does spell out in January. Thanks Matt and Sarah, congratulations.
Thanks.
Matt and Sarah, just got appointed in January, pushed it to this meeting. So you would nominate and vote.
I would like to nominate, Matt as chair.
I second.
Matt, do you accept this nomination?
Yes.
Is it begrudging?
No.
I'm
Good.
kidding.
Thank you.
Nervously, maybe.
Great job.
Yes.
All in favor?
I,
All opposed? Welcome to being the chairman of the board.
and for vice chair. Who wants it? Sarah or Callie?
Either one. I think it's fine.
I'll nominate Sarah Finn for vice chair.
Thank you.
I second that. Sarah, do you accept this nomination?
I do.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed? Welcome to being the new vice chair.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Thank you, Callie, for doing that. And
You're really good at it. Thanks. The whole dubbing and speaking and.
Even though I called Kyle Carl on his very,
You did for a while. I did not forget that.
I will never. Okay, you're in charge.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. First thing we have to do is approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
just
Motion
note maybe here that, we change this format. This was some conversation just about, doing the longer work sessions and getting a lot of that discussion out of the regular meeting.
Yeah.
This part of the meeting should start going very quickly. It's just gonna be.
More business items.
The minutes, there's not like a separate group minutes, it just be in the consent calendar, so like next month, I'll have the minutes and I'll probably just have the. Camping rules in that consent calendar, it's not gonna be something we discuss, because unless you have a concern or question about what we put in there, like we just discussed it. I think I know what you want, if it's not what you wanted, it's a thing that doesn't matter. It should go quicker.
Okay, so moving on to public comment. Yeah?
Yeah.
So at this time, anyone wishing to address the fair board concerning items of interest on or off the agenda may do so. The person addressing the fair board will, when recognized, give their name and address for the record. Our remarks will be addressed to the whole board and limited to 3 minutes per person. Fair board members reserve the right to delay any action if required until such time when they are fully informed and the matter is scheduled as an agenda item. Do we have any public comment? No, okay. First item on the agenda is the consent calendar.
Second thing where it's.
Right here.
Here.
Yeah, it's that one. Okay,
It's this guy right here.
these are nice too.
That's not, yeah, the consent calendar is just the minutes, that's the only.
Oh,
Oh, why did we remove it?
Cause that will have, potentially have a whole list of items that you'll take action on all of this, just by. You'll have the packet on that time, if you can review it.
All right. Yeah, I actually already read it. So,
Motion to approve the fair board meeting from our January 2nd meeting.
I second that.
okay. The minutes have been approved.
You have to say all.
All,
dang it.
all in favor to approve the January meeting minutes?
I,
Okay, all opposed? All right. Motion carries. Is that better?
You're doing great.
Board member reports. Is there anybody from the board that has anything that they are working on to report?
Is this where we're gonna do our committee?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
where you.
Yep.
Okay. No committee minute stuff over here?
Can you leave?
no. Wildlife Center. I think you should bring that up. And the,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Sarah and I can go first for our committee meeting. We met with Kyle, just one time. And we are working on getting some local vendors, like Seth the magician, to do some like walk around magic stuff, but also teach magic show classes. That you can sign up and, he offers that at his store. So we're working with him to get some pricing to have a little, where kids can come and learn how to do stuff. We talked about having a food drive on Tuesday with the Clatsop County Food Bank. And that if you brought in a certain amount of food, it's not like one can of food to get in the fair, but so that we would partner with them, on Tuesday, which is typically our slowest day. But in addition to that, we saw a post from the Wildlife Center. They are also trying to raise some, supplies. So we thought maybe we could couple like one in the afternoon and one in the morning, maybe.
Yeah.
We have a couple other things kind of on the agenda. I can't remember what that truck is called.
Sorry, what that,
The truck,
the rag truck?
no,
The guy, the one
The
that comes
cartoon.
around, the
Oh,
cartoon
yeah,
guy.
buck trout.
yeah. Kyle found, it's just like this guy that dresses up in a costume and he drives this little Power Wheels looking thing. It kind of looks like Mater's tow truck. And he helps people figure out where they need to go and,
it's a good idea.
Calls himself a fair ambassador.
Yeah.
It's cute, yeah.
so we're just working on a few things. Nothing is
Booked
booked yet,
we've
but
got I've got quite a few books, probably 5 or 7 things. I do need to do my part and kind of put those together on a list. So get that done.
What was the additional one we got with the mutton busting and the,
Sheep wrangling.
yeah, sheep
Sheep
wrangling?
roping that we would like to.
Yeah.
that we'd like to do. And these people have all called and saying, can we book? So I do need to do my part to sit and get those done so we can pull the
Yes.
trigger on those agreements. I talked with the guy about It's like a motorsport BMX company, and he's got like the ball, and they've got, you know, where they put the motorbike
cool.
inside of it. They've got BMX jumps and dirt bike jumps and stuff, but we still have to talk to him about what package. He sounded like he had everything too, like roaming jugglers type people and stuff. He's like out of Las Vegas circus type stuff. A lot of iron fire with that. It's just how much budget do we want to spend on it?
Get to talk about
Sarah, do you have anything to add?
No. I don't think so.
I think that's all I have.
Does any other board members have anything to talk about on behalf? of-
Matt and I do. For parking, I'm gonna let Matt, if you guys wanna first pull out your parking Matt and then, or map, and then Matt's gonna talk about it.
Okay, so over the last couple meetings, we came up and talked about just what to do with this handicap parking issue that we have. You know, we want to keep people from driving through our fair, want to keep people safe because there's kids running around everywhere. There's horses going on and the mutton busting's over here in the grass where our traditional handicap parking was. And so Kyle drew up a really good example here of what this could look like. You know, this gives us, I think, 16 spots for handicap parking up top. Bringing back the people mover to dropping off right here at the top like it used to. But then also something that you don't see on here that we've discussed and trying to figure out what it would look like is having kind of back in by the barn, there'd be another roughly just for rough numbers, maybe 10 spots of handicap parking that would be come in before hours, park, and you don't leave until the fair is closed.
Okay.
You know, like for the families that come up here and they have kids in fair that they're gonna be up here all day anyway, and they need a
Yeah.
parking spot up here. But the idea there though is that they would come up, park, and they're there for the day. They aren't
And that's
leaving.
like here.
No, it's back where where it used to be over,
By the horse arena.
yeah, by the horse barn there. And so, we're still trying to iron that out a little bit. But I think this is gonna be a really good, accommodation to our community and making sure we're taking care of the people that really need this up here parking that can't load on a people mover or go across the deal as well. It's not pictured here, but on the other side of the bridge, we're trying to iron out an additional handicap parking area. Just trying to see what that's gonna look like, because we want to make sure people are taken care of, especially after last year. You know, I feel like we ended up getting on the ball, but we were on the ball too late. And we do care. I really do care, and I want to make sure our community is taken care of and that they know that we are thinking about it, not just dragging our knuckles here. So,
That they were heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So that's what we got going on for that.
If the facilities that want to drop off the bus, you know, last year the retirement center brought a bus, would they be able to drop off here also?
A full-size bus, no,
No.
a minibus. Yeah, I think a
minibus.
minibus would be able to do that pretty.
Took those two first spots and said no parking, so hopefully they can make that turn, but we don't know.
So maybe it would be a good idea before the fair to put something out that if you have, you know, the retirement center wants, that they need to pre-arrange so we know when they're coming, so the security guy would let them.
And we wanna have a lot more signage this year, cause last year we know our signage was not good, cause we just didn't have signage, so
Yeah.
that is something that we're gonna be working on, is more signage.
Look at this picture we have here, kind of have this, like, really like to get stuff set up here. If it's logging equipment or the bouncy houses and just trying to expand our fair back over here. And then having this reserved for any VIP part, but these front sections here can be reserved for some more handicap parking. I think that would be a goal.
We want it,
It's another 20 spots or so that.
Yeah.
By a mission gate.
Oh, there it is, admission, okay, we'd like to.
We wanna try to get people to park down below. When they come in, it's not parking up top. You're to go down and fill up down below is where you need to be parking. Not up top. Up top's gonna be for the handicapped and vendor parking. that you can see and VIP parking just for that one. So,
We're working with the school district. They have their ADA ban. They're gonna give us a price to run that ban. That could change maybe some of how we operate too. I mean, if that ban's running all hours of the fair, we've got people, something to consider depending on what that number comes back at.
Yeah.
Another thing that we really want, it's like on our page, we have a whole accessibility tab. So if you can come and look into the fair, they got a page, it's accessibility, and it has what we do, like we got the drop off, we got the bus. We've got pictures of where the parking is. It's pretty, trying to focus on that. It's not about doing the minimum. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, they're trying to really make people, make a point of. It's not about.
besides the parking, we're still waiting on our act. Have you heard from Paige?
I talked, I sent you a message, I got an email from Eric lost his phone apparently, so. He says the offers in the drills is the deadline's Friday. We sent a list of some backup options and.
And we did go through that and we discussed
So they
still
sent a,
another one. Okay, I haven't done that. Okay.
which.
Okay, so
I vote for Oliver Anthony right now. Oliver Anthony's on that list is available for our fair date. Yeah, I think.
Now we have two videos, so. Yeah, all of those on that list, there's, handful of people.
A lot.
But, man, I still think Joe's probably, Oliver should be interesting. Eric's comment was like, I don't know if it's viable, so I don't know what that means if he doesn't do shows by himself.
never on his feet like he's dragging his feet.
Yeah.
What is the,
It's getting very frustrating.
can't call you until 2 weeks from the full moon on the
Yeah.
third day, Tuesday.
It's just,
Like,
we have
this is
to get
getting
something,
frustrating.
yeah, we have to get something booked.
Well, it's really hoping that Joe, if it's gonna be.
I'm not excited about Joe.
I know the people that I've talked to, the people that I've talked to have been pretty about it.
Yeah.
And I think the we can market more than what we did last year.
Yeah.
The thing with Oliver, it's like, it's really something that people are gonna go dance to. I mean, it's definitely popular. It's got some popular songs.
And then
It's an hour and a half long concert with it.
I think we don't even worry about that till Friday, but that's our next one, but like, we need to get that figured out, so. Moving on, we're trying to figure out that, once we get that done, you guys will know, cause that's been very frustrating for us, trying to work on that. We've talked to security. We're working on that.
We have an RFP out for security. We
Mhm.
received a bid from TCB that has done our fair in the past. And they.
Not last year.
No,
No,
and he's also got, and I sent it out to like a couple dozen security companies. Like, I got a thing from the DPST. Basically the state who certifies these companies, and I pulled up the list and I went through them and was trying to pull out the ones that did events, not just like parking security or whatever. I sent it to them. A couple of them replied back and said, thanks for sending this, but I haven't seen any proposals, but it's got a deadline of the 14th.
The one that we got back, he was at the OFA conference.
Yeah, he's
Conference,
a
right?
service member in Oakland.
Yeah.
And he should be here at the end of the month for the.
I met with him.
for conference.
so,
And then he knows our fair.
Yeah.
But again, we still gotta wait to see what else comes in.
Okay,
We at least got one.
anything else for,
real quick, I'm gonna be working on, I'll talk to Mallory too, but for the March meeting, I really wanna get together with 4-H. Friends of the Fair, OET, to talk about horse stalls, cause we need to get that moving, especially with fair coming up. We have Friends of the Fair going on, so that's something that I'm working on, and Kyle and I have done a little bit of discussion on that, so. I'll be working on that. Another thing that I've been working on with Kyle is that we're trying to get another concert in here before fair. So right now, we're looking at like May 10th or 11th, bringing in either Fighting Foods or Foreigner. They're bands come in here, we have a $30,000 budget,
Like cover band?
cover bands.
Tribute bands.
Yeah, tribute bands. Those dates are open and they could come in. They wouldn't cost, or what were they like?
I have it in here, as a business item,
Oh, you do? Okay.
it depends on which one you pick, but I think we could do those for about 10 grand.
10 grand, we have a $30,000 budget, but it would give us something to do because everything's gonna be laid down already in the arena because of Prop Fest, and then we're keeping it down due to Scan Evening Festival, so we have it down. We also have a map, which, did you, that,
Oh,
remember
yeah.
we saw that?
I still have it in the office,
but-
yeah.
It's a layout of what you could do with a stage with how many, seats we could get in there.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we need to look at is getting another small thing going on. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what
So what
Kyle and I've been working on.
she's talking about is this, and Kristen actually found it in the gold mine. It's like an architectural drafted up of this property, and it's like this room and that room. And it's not exactly what was built, but the dimensions are pretty close, and it just shows like you can set it up for a banquet, or you can set it up
Like
for a
chairs,
trade show,
table,
or you can set it up
things.
for a
Pretty
concert.
cool.
It kind of has like the capacity and what
Mhm.
the floor plans would look like for those different layouts. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So that's something that Kyle and I've been working on together. So I think that's it for now.
Very cool. Okay, moving on to manager's report.
So what I'm trying to do with this part of the meeting, and because this is part of the meeting that's going up the most, is just, I'm sending you all weekly updates that have the stuff, and I just want to try to just hit on some of the bigger stuff or the things I know. Items for work, the new stuff that's come up. We already kind of on the levy, I'm feeling some urgency with getting that dialed in so that that doesn't sneak up on us. Katrina would like me to meet with her and Colleen she works for Lincoln County, and I think she also works for Lynn County and does their community competitions. She said that she could actually help as like a consultant to start, to implement ShowWorks for the open class part of the show.
Yeah.
And so that's the discussion that we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow and talk about it, and it's just a decision on if Katrina can do that on her own, or if we wanna pay Colleen to give us some support to get, kind of build a system this year and move forward.
Yeah.
So we're gonna listen to her, and we probably will do a demo. But we'll see. I don't have any things we can show works except for very little.
And we're going. Well, we're using it, but everybody's doing paper this year. We're not have to enter online. You're giving us the paper, we will enter it because it costs 25 cents for every entry.
Oh.
And if 1,000 people don't bring those entries, we spent 25 cents on all those entries.
Yeah.
Because they have to put in what they think they're gonna bring.
Yeah.
And then you get charged 25 cents. And if 1,000 of them don't, we always have 1,000 of them that don't come, we have 2,500 in and then 15, we're paying for that.
Yeah.
So we're doing paper.
Can I
We do it
email
on the
it?
Backside, right?
Can I email it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori.
So
We'll
we're
probably
looking
do it
into
every
that. She definitely had some ideas. Just basically reached out to her, told her, we're support her, and I think long term, we'd like to use that for some sponsorship and some marketing. That's advertising and marketing piece that we can use with the open class program.
Yeah.
And she says her new job is very supportive, and it almost fits more with her new job than her old job, even as far as being able to participate in this and engaging in community. Committee schedules, I think, so if we could do like a 2-month schedule and get meetings planned out for 2 months, that'll help us engage these volunteers. OFEA is the end of the month. I sent you guys the link. I think it's been in the update every week. So they still haven't updated the actual count or their brochure to coming soon, but they do have it kind of summarized it. I think even if you all stop in and saw the trade show in there, it would be worth your time. The ethics training is at the end of the month. I don't recall which day specifically that is.
Can you send a reminder?
Yeah, it should be on your calendar. But I can send her. Maybe that's something we pair up with, and like, if you're coming down there, maybe we can just pull off and do our budget meeting downtown or something.
I've got February 28th on my calendar. Fair Board Ethics Training. it says 5 to 6, but that's very questionable.
The budget, the ethics training part of that meeting should go pretty quick, like 25 minutes, I think is what they're planning for it. As part of that work session.
Oh, it's on my calendar too. Yeah, me. Look at me.
Friendsville Fair, Beach Land, those are the next 2 weeks, Beach Land this weekend, and Friendsville Fair following weekend. And then we'd like to work on these events that we'll talk about during this thing, this next agenda item.
Okay. All right, moving down to the business agenda, get use of general entertainment funds.
Yeah, this is just kind of looking for you guys' approval to move forward with these. So, we've been working with this Fellman. He's Jay Bell, if you've seen advertisements for it on our Facebook page, they send us all the solicitation filter, but they're kind of the name of the game for the tribute bands. They are booking the stuff for the Liberty to do their tribute shows also. So I did kind of want to coordinate with them, like, we don't want to do the same shows they're doing.
Yeah.
The bands are around the $6,000-ish range. You figured maybe another 2,500 to $3,000 for production. So we're talking about like a $10,000 budget at that price. If we can get 1,000 to 1,500 people to come to the show, that's some pretty economical ticket prices or
Yeah. Plus
some good overhead. Definitely
alcohol sales.
tiptoe our way in. It's like to do that and really like to let a Hispanic group come in and do it as well. I think that they could do pretty good. We may be able to get that for a much less budget. With them, we could go one or two ways, just basically rent it to them. But if we sell the tickets, we'll stand and make the revenue off of it. Maybe we'll have better control.
Yeah.
So both this Foreigner and Foo Fighters tribute bands are available that Mother's Day weekend. There's some other possibilities. He didn't have availabilities back on them, but I think with the concept we had was trying to do something different than the country music that we do all the time for the fair. So yeah, thoughts on that? We said the ideal stage size is 24 by 16. We're 24 by 12. So we could probably make that work, but it might be marginal for about $4,800. We could buy a single section. We could either widen it one more, or we could deepen it one forward row.
Is this all put together?
No, they won't. It's 9 individual sections.
Okay, okay.
So we buy 3 more. So it's 3 wide by 3 deep. So we could either go 4 wide by 3 or 3 by 4.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it doesn't even matter, because we could change it up depending on
Every
multiple
yeah.
things. I think it's
We could
just
say
like a good
it's-
investment.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is what we did for the concert last year. We actually did this for the wings on both sides of the stage. It's a good investment out there.
Yeah.
That, we're talking with Caleb about bug bogs. They would really love to do it here, but they know we'd really like to get something done before the end of the fiscal year. Really, it's before process. So I don't know exactly if they can make it happen, but if they do, I'd like to spend $15K on that to make that happen. So if you guys are good with me moving forward with those, I'll just kind of chug away with them.
I think it's a great idea. Yep.
You can make a motion for that.
I would like to make a motion. We don't have to make a motion?
It says requested action right there.
Yeah.
It's on this.
Do I need to make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. No, just a minute.
I would like to make a motion to go ahead and move forward with, getting some tribute bands in, helping the med bogs, but especially getting the stage, expanding that stage, because I think that's gonna help us all around.
At the back.
Okay. So we've got a motion to use the general entertainment funds for Mother's Day weekend for some different bands extending the stage in a second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Say I'm not gonna guarantee it's all gonna happen, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Motion carries.
Well, I think even the stage pieces is a huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. We can
Yeah.
use it for, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, moving right along to financial report. January report.
Yeah, one of the things that I think I'll do moving forward, instead of giving you January's report in February, I'll just do like December's report in February, because it's too close. Like, I should really have this packet to you last Monday. This isn't available to me until the first of the month, so our meetings make it work well for me to get you this.
Our financial end closes on the tenth. Fire, you know, so that all those
It is. And I kind of feel bad that I'm trying the first day of December. So that's what I'd like to do moving forward.
I
I
like
think
that
the
idea.
fact that we're going through this budget process is a good time, because we're seeing a lot of numbers into this.
Oh, I can't see.
And yeah, trying to figure that out. Like, when I first did it, it was even smaller. Spread it out. So,
Yeah,
so.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, for this month, we really kind of just went over all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Anything for the good of the order? Valerie? Sarah? You have anything? Either of you?
Of course I do. I'm wondering where we're at with the MOUs for 4-H and FFA.
Yeah, FFA, I don't really have anything. They have their agreement, I think it says, you know, they set up the watering pens and they do two events.
And they do what?
They do two events. They do their banquet. And they do their, like, what do they call it? Where they bring the other schools in and
Yeah.
they do the work testing, the workshops. So I think she would like to add another event also, so we just need to kind of talk about what they want, get them. And what our terms are, I think we want to make everything available to them. Bouncing around paid events and.
Yeah.
I would like to get those two things wrapped up, because we've been talking about it for.
And then the OSU one, I need to pull out, need to finish pulling out the association stuff. I think I provided them up to you at some point, if you have any, send them to me. But I'm with you, I feel like every week, when we sit down to talk about what the week looks like, say, I've got to get this thing done, so it's. Get this stuff done, so.
Well, and I think the OSU one or the 4-H one is pretty cut and dry, because it comes from OSU, so there's probably not a lot of, we just need to make some adjustments on it.
I think one of the important things that we should be putting in the OSU one is making it clear what type of value we're getting. And 'cause that's part of our story about what we're providing.
Yes.
Well, I think those things are important also to capture when we're gonna go out for a bond.
Yeah.
Not that we're like, look what we did for you, but like, what we're doing for the community is gonna be an important thing to share.
Exactly. And then the association one, we can tackle that. Once we get the OSU one done. You know, there's some stuff with the OSU, like, it's got the master gardener in it too, and it's really loose on what it says. As far as, I don't know if that should be separate for a master gardener's agreement.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little details that at some point we just kind of gotta move forward with something and make it a year or two agreement instead of a long-term agreement, and then we can
Yeah.
in time, instead of
Yeah.
trying to make it perfect, it's getting closer to what it is, and if we don't make it too long of a term, then
It's a work
we
in
can,
progress.
we can adjust.
Yeah.
Okay, that leads to my next question about the FFA banquet.
Yeah.
Which is May 3rd. And they were bumped into the barn because the hospital wants this side of the building.
Yeah.
Two things, we can't bump because someone else has more money. Because like the FFA banquet's a huge deal to the
It's a very,
FFA kids.
it's a big deal. to
Like
the
it's an
community
award,
members.
it's an award night, all the kids' families come, grandmas and grandpas, and the seniors, you know, get a special thing. It's a fundraiser, we cook dinner for everyone, but since we're gonna be in the barn and the hospital's already set up in here, we need heat, projection, music, tables and chairs, and the stage.
Yeah.
So
That's
The,
not all gonna fit in the barn.
well,
It's in
and
there.
some of the people,
In the
in the
arena.
arena,
some of the people that come are like 80 years old.
it's that's, like, I mean, it's the week after Crab Fest. Last year at Crab Fest, it was so freaking, they're like,
Yeah, but we can
you'd need coolers, you wouldn't need heaters.
I know, but
we don't know what's.
assume that though.
Right.
Cause like the kids, you know, they can be cold, but their grandmas and grandpas cannot.
Well, they've got those big bar heaters above on the concrete side, above the bleachers. That I'm sure that, I mean, I've sat there while they were on it, it blows you out of there pretty good.
But what if the rest is? But we also can't be bumping kids.
And so that, I know that that's something that we need to sort out with these things, like, even in all of the 4-H agreements, it says they get bumped with paid events. That's-
I just-
They're not a 4-H event, this is FFA.
Yeah, but 4-H can't be bumped because the
No.
hospital has, you wouldn't bump Super Saturday for the hospital. But it's, I'm sure you shouldn't.
I also think
Like-
that it's a banquet and I'm gonna stick this in here because when I see banquet, I see lights hanging and
Yeah,
beautiful tables. I don't think of,
yeah,
so that's just my 2
And
cents.
the horse derby, they've always had it outside in the grass anyways, and it's a horse derby. You know what I mean? It's like.
Right, and I understand that it's
there issues on Tessa's side also, on the FFA side also with all the sports and all that. There wasn't a lot of good options.
Yeah.
Right, but she had an option and she got bumped. And the reason that she has a lot of things is because the sports people at the high school will not bend.
No.
So she's always bending and it's important. Last year, Jenna, or 2 years ago, Jenna was the president of FFA and she had to go to track. So she missed her, it's a big deal.
It is a big one.
So I know that Tess emailed a week or so ago, but we really need to get this because if we, like Jeremy's mom and I spend the whole day decorating in here. Like to make sure that it's really special for the kids. Who I'm just going to say are going to be the ones running the hospital.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the 4-H and the FFA kids are a cut above, if you ask me. That's my opinion.
Oh, they are.
Um,
Statistically speaking. they are.
statistically speaking.
No,
So-
I think, part of our plan is getting more and more events like that to be hosted inside of that space. I think it can be done.
Not banquets.
I think.
Not
have you
eating out
seen,
there.
Like how the Scandinavian group is set up, they have.
Yeah,
they
but we're gonna
all
have
their
to be like,
tables and meals and-
we're going to be carting food like all the way through there, out here. Like, we just have risk for like dropping and slipping and spilling and, it's just
Well, in the health department, like even when we did our.
the hamburgers.
The hamburgers out here with,
The sink we got in trouble.
we
with
got
the
the
sink.
sink, we weren't close enough with the sink, and I mean, and it was
Yeah.
brutal when the health department came out and inspected us for that.
Yeah,
And thank God I had a food handler's card.
and I did not have a ponytail. I just had my hair down.
I have a family card too. I keep mine up.
Anyways, we need to get that ironed out because, we need tables and chairs and the stage and a projection and music and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So are both of those events going on at the same time?
Our event is the day before theirs, but they are setting up all week. So
They
they'll
rented the
already be
property
set up
basically
here.
for the whole week, so, from like Wednesday through Sunday.
So if we have to figure something else out, we need like more time than not enough.
So does that mean we need to rent chairs for you guys, or tables?
I'm not sure, but we need
I
tables
think
and chairs.
there's plenty of tables for everything.
How many are the hospital having?
I think they're like 300 max. And we just had over 500 people in there, so if you don't have, I think Tess said she needed 30 tables. I think that's the number she said.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that,
Make
We're
sure
not-
things are taken care of properly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because again, like these people are gonna be voting for our bond,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could get that figured out this week and let, Tess know. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, well, I just want to say thank you to Callie for serving as chair last year and for always
Thank you for
bringing
letting
something to the table.
Good and bad.
Always good.
Always good. Always. Even the good is bad. There's no growth without pain in
Exactly.
anything. So,
That's my mantra in life.
So with that, we're adjourned.
Yay! You have to sign the